So our division champion predictions. The season's starting, obviously, in a couple of weeks. Still one preseason game left to go for everybody, but let's go ahead and give out some predictions for our division champions. And I'll go ahead and kick us off with my NFC Division Champion predictions. It breaks my heart to do this, and the only reason I'm doing it is because we are starting a very young quarterback, and I think he's going to have some growing pains to start the season, but he will finish the season very strong. But I'm going to go ahead and take the Rams to win the NFC West. I'm going to take the Philadelphia Eagles to win the NFC East because there has not been a repeat champion in, I believe, 19 years in the NFC East. So it's been a long time. Cowboys won it last year. I don't think they're going to win it this year. And I also think Philly's going to end up being a better team than the Cowboys by the end of the season. I'm going to take the New Orleans Saints to win the NFC South. I think Tampa Bay has a really good squad, but I think that injuries have already started to plague them, and that's unfortunately probably going to continue throughout the season. Kind of know how it goes. Once the injury bug hits a team and they start going to backups, then more and more starters start getting hurt because they're having to make up for the backups, and the backups they're not as cohesive. So it just causes more injuries. So unfortunately for the Bucs, I think they're going to have a silly season when it comes to injuries, and I think the Saints are going to end up winning that division. And then I don't know if this is a surprise to you guys or not, but I think with the lack of Devontae Adams, and even though those young wide receivers have shown some promise, I don't think that Aaron Rodgers is going to find the success that he's used to finding or that he wants to find. I think it's going to be a frustrating year for him. They may make the playoffs, but I have the Minnesota Vikings as my NFC North champions this year. So that's my predictions. Let's go ahead and jump over to Justin's, and then we'll get some conversation going here. So Justin's NFC Division Champion predictions. Break them down for us.
Yeah. So we had a couple different, which I actually thought it was pretty surprising that you picked not the Rams. I didn't think it was surprising you picked the Rams, even though we're red and gold through and through. But they are fresh off of a Super Bowl victory. It did surprise me though that you took the Saints. To be honest with you, so that kind of shocked me a little bit. So while everyone is focused on Trey Lance, right, and how he's going to impact the offense, here's what we know. The 49ers have the offensive weapons to mask any real deficiencies in Trey Lance's game early on in the season. What people aren't talking about is how good our defense is and how good the 49er defense is going to be. Last year, they were good. They were great. This year, they're going to be greater. If people haven't noticed in the preseason the amount of turnovers they're generating, how much pressure they're getting on quarterbacks, Bosa, Drake Jackson, the rookie that we just drafted. I mean, the kid is a freak. I went back and watched tape. Constant pressure on quarterback. Kinlaw got extended playing time in the last game. Had a sack against the Vikings. Multiple quarterback pressures. The 49ers defensive line was constantly in the face. And this is going back to preseason 1. Their defensive line has been putting constant pressure on quarterbacks. And I have no reason to doubt that that's going to translate into the regular season. Our defense is already a step ahead of where it was last year. I believe we have already continuity in our linebacker position. Greenlaw, Fred Warner, our linebacking core is intact. Our D-line is stronger. This is crazy to say. Our defensive line is better this year than it was last year. It's better than really at this point right now. I'm confident in saying our defensive line is going to be better this year than it probably has been in a decade. And we're deep. They're deep at that position. We're going to generate a lot of pressures, a lot of interceptions. The 49ers are going to be generating. So their defense, I believe, is what's going to propel them to actually win the division. I do believe Trey Lance is going to have a phenomenal year. I have him as an early MVP candidate of mine because I believe he's going to have that great of a season. But Trey Lance aside, if he just had a Jimmy Garoppolo type season, numbers-wise, I think our defense is good enough. I think our defense, again, is better than last year, where we went to the NFC Championship game. I just believe that we're that much better. So the Saints, let's talk about them. I was really surprised because they got a new coach. I know the Bucks got a new coach too. So it's really similar situation there. But I like the veteran presence, of course, of Tom Brady and all the other veteran receivers and players over there in Tampa Bay. I think they have the Saints are going to be the best threat, I guess you would say, the biggest threat to Tampa Bay as far as a team that's going to win that division. But I just think that even with the offensive linemen that are going to be injured, I think that Tampa Bay is they're going to win the division. It might be close. It's not going to be a runaway. Saints could, I wouldn't say easily win it, but the Saints could win that division. Eagles, they're my favorite because I believe they really upgraded their team in the offseason with the acquisition of A.J. Brown. They're going to have a more clear definition of who their tight end is all season with Goddard, and Ertz is gone now. Jalen Hurts has just been looking phenomenal through training camp from what I can tell. I've been all through Twitter and they just look really good. There's a lot of buzz and a lot of excitement in Philly. It actually reminds me of when they drafted Carson Wentz. I know some Eagles fans don't want to hear that, but it does. There was a lot of buzz around that time when they drafted Carson Wentz, and I know he got hurt, and Nick Foles is the one who won the Super Bowl ultimately as the starting quarterback for that team. But the buzz really started when they drafted Wentz, and it kind of continued for a few years. And I think that's the type of buzz they have right now. They've got a lot of buzz in the city. They've got a lot of buzz by the fans. The player personnel is really good, and they're clicking. I mean, you can see it in the games. They're clicking, and then you go and look at some of the training camp clips and stuff like that. In the joint practices now, I've seen some of the clips, and they look like they're clicking. There's a lot going on over there, a lot to be excited about. And then same reason as you, I have the Vikings winning their division because I just don't believe that Green Bay's going to make up for the loss of Devontae Adams. Their defense is really good, better than it's ever been, and I like Romeo Doubs, but I don't see it. I mean, It's early in the year. It's so early. You don't know what you're going to get out of Doubs. They drafted a wide receiver even earlier than him, whom they don't know what they're going to get out of. Their veterans are Randall Cobb and Sammy Watkins, whom, in my opinion, are washed up. You're not going to get a lot out of those guys. And then you've got Alan Lazard, who really is an unproven commodity at receiver. The best bet for the Packers to win that division is play sound defense. Hope that your defense maintains its form from last year, maybe even be a little bit better. But run that offense through Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. If they don't, they surely will, at least early on. They're probably going to flounder a little bit, in my opinion. So I got the Vikings. I like the Vikings with O'Connell now over there and from the Rams. He's now their head coach. Jefferson, Thielen, they're saying he's looking a lot better, looking like his 2019 self. Kirk Cousins, these guys, Dalvin's supposed to be healthy. They got a lot of weapons. So I really think that they have the offense to win that division, but I don't know if they have the defense to make it through the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't think they make any noise in the playoffs, but I do think that they're going to win the division. I think it's going to be a close race. And Green Bay's not out of it. I think Minnesota's going to have enough this year to overtake them, and who knows, maybe for a while, depending on what happens after this year with Aaron Rodgers. So I'm not going to argue with you about the 49ers. Obviously, I think they do have a good shot to win the division, and I would love for that to happen. I could sit here and build a case, and I went back and forth between them and the Rams for a while. But I got to give the nod to the Rams right now just because I think they're going to start the season on a smoother trajectory because they have some continuity at quarterback. Now, when it comes to Tampa Bay, again, I think Tampa Bay has a good shot. Whenever you got the GOAT, you got a chance. But from everything I've been reading, Alvin Kamara is not going to get suspended this year. It's most likely going to be next year if he does get suspended. Michael Thomas is coming back. He's healthy. We all remember what Michael Thomas was before he got hurt and missed basically the last 2 years. He was top flight. The only question mark is going to be since Sean Payton's not there to teach Jameis Winston and really reel him in, is Jameis going to be the 30 for 30 Jameis, who threw 33 touchdowns and 30 interceptions, but he also threw for 5,100 yards? Or is he going to be the Jameis that started last year before he got hurt, who was playing very efficient, making big plays, trusting his offense, not trying to make the dumb play or anything like that, and started off really having a great season. They were a winning team, and then once he got hurt, the wheels kind of fell off the bus. Is he going to be that Jameis, or is he going to be the Jameis that was in Tampa the last year? So that's the only question mark. But I think that they have enough on offense. They own the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, whether Tom Brady's the coach, the quarterback or not. They have owned them for the last 2 years, and I think that is a psychological advantage. And again, Tampa's dealing with a lot of injuries. They're probably going to get obviously Godwin back at some point, but those injuries on the offensive line when you have a 45-year-old quarterback, that's a big deal. That's a really big deal. So, all right, Jay, what do you think? You think I'm right? He's wrong? Yeah. Okay.
Cool. I agree with your picks, except for the Vikings. I believe Aaron Rodgers still has it in him. Okay. I believe he's two-time MVP for a reason, and I don't think it doesn't matter who he's throwing to. He could be throwing to washed-up Sammy Watkins, but is Watkins really washed up? Because he didn't have a chance. Look how deep that receiving corps was with the Chiefs. He was fourth man and still made plays.
Yeah.
I could see him.
I think Sammy.
He was with the Ravens last year.
When he was with the Chiefs.
So
year before that.
I think that Sammy Watkins.
With the Ravens, he was the third receiver.
Sammy Watkins will probably be the third or fourth receiver in Green Bay. I think that obviously Lazard's going to be their number one. I think Randall Cobb's probably going to be their number two. Dobbs, if he can limit the drops, will probably be their number three because they're going to want to get some young guys. I could see Sammy Watkins being their number four. I could also see in my buddy Tori, who was on last week, I think it was when we did the Packers preseason fan pulse check. He's really in tune with the Packers. He said that he could see Sammy Watkins getting cut next week on cut day and not even making the roster. Now, I think that's a stretch, but I could see him being the number four receiver. Now, here's what I also say. When Sammy Watkins is healthy and he's right, he's almost unguardable. The dude can out-jump a lot. He's a baller, but the problem is he's very rarely fully healthy and all the way right. That's the unfortunate knock on Sammy Watkins.
The Sammy Watkins rule is draft him week one,
play
him, drop him,
trade,
leave him alone from there.
Yep. That's the
You're going to get 20 points out of him in week one.
Yep.
Just from there, drop him.
Let him go.